and discuss emotions related to pain are real. If you've ever realized you felt really good one moment and all of a sudden you were around somebody that was in a bad mood, and all of a sudden now you have aches and pains, you have just absorbed their energy, their emotions. You've taken it on for yourself. I'm going to share with you a story because as I teach people how to heal, I'm also healing myself. And one of the things, I'm not sure, depending on where you're seeing this video, I have had stomach issues probably my whole life, but mostly in the last 3 years. Now, when you have something that makes you unhappy, if you have disappointment, if you are frustrated, you're going to hear my story in just a second. All those emotions, if you're not meditating, working out, letting them go, if you're still complaining about the same story, that something that happened 10 years ago, you still have trapped emotions in your body. And unless you let them go, and you know you've let them go because you're not thinking about it, but also if you're not thinking about it, it still may be trapped in there because you have health issues. So let me share a story with you really quick. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So I've had this horrible stomach issue where I blow up like a balloon. I look pregnant. And I've had this for about the last 2 years. And it started about 3 years ago. I have tried diets. And mind you, my background's nutrition. So when I went grain free, gluten free, sugar free, alcohol free, I felt amazing when I did this 15 years ago. But that was 15 years ago. So much has accumulated and been absorbed and trapped in my body that the diet wasn't going to work this time. And this is my experience too. I'm supposed to go through this so I can share with other people. I had to go through this. Had I not gone through this, I wouldn't be sharing this story and I wouldn't even be a spiritual healer. So I had to look back. So I've tried everything. I've tried the diets, the probiotics. So I look like I'm 9 months pregnant. At least this was about a month ago. Um, I started finally healing. So a month ago, a month and a half, I got to the point where I could no longer run. It had been a year since I ran. I was not able to lift weights. Now we're in May right now of 2021. 2020, I stopped running. I stopped in December of 2020, stopped working out, had no energy. I could still work, but I only work like 3 or 4 hours a day. And I could still have fun with my son. I had energy to raise my 7-year old and play sports. So I always had energy with that, but something was going on. Um, a month ago, probably 2 months ago, I had asked for help. So I have other healers that come in and they work on me. I also have a kinesiologist. And I knew I didn't have any bacteria in my body to break down foods. But everything that I've learned, everything that I know, eating certain ways is supposed to bring back the bacteria, eating the enzymes, the vitamins of enzymes, the probiotics. I've tried so many things in 3 years. Nothing's working. So what's going on? Now, I've already been working on emotions for the last 5 years, removing emotions from trauma and childhood. What is going on? So, as I'm taking an enzyme to help build in, at this moment, a month ago, I started taking an enzyme. And at the same time, I went back to figure out where was I 3 years ago when my stomach issues got worse. Mind you, I've had stomach issues for over 30 years, but this time, I mean, I could still hide it. I could still look good, but I looked pregnant. And I felt like this. I would have a little stomach issue, And then it created into a bigger stomach issue and bloating by the end of the day. And 3 years ago was an end of a friendship of 38 years. Me and my best friend, we were like sisters. We made each other laugh. We had fun. I don't even think she even admitted she never laughed the way we laughed with her husband of 25 years. And it was kind of like a divorce, except we didn't have to split any money. Um, but it's like I don't have siblings, so I see where people have a hard time when they don't talk to their siblings. And they have a hard time. But this was really a hard breakup between the two of us. Well, for me, I didn't really talk to her. She told me I was a terrible friend. And I had to really think, her perception was I'm a terrible friend, but I didn't feel that way. My perception is I went out of my way to invite her everywhere with us and had a lot of girl trips and did a lot of weekend stuff and evenings, pool parties where it's just some girls, mostly just girl fun. And when I look back on my stomach issues, that was what was going on and the hurt. Instead of being hurt, I just stuffed it all away. I'm like, I don't care anymore. Whatever. If she wants to be that way, but I didn't let it go. I stuffed it into my body and stomach issues. So if you go through a divorce, I can relate where a lot of this can be stored away. You're trying to forget and let it go and move on. But if you're not properly removing these emotions, I mean, this could be going to a job every single day and you hate it. If you're not letting go of the emotions, I could see where it would be absorbed into the body. And mind you, I work on people every day and I see it. I just never was able to look inside myself until now. Well, a month ago, I started working on it and realized as I've been healing, I've been getting better. And I had discovered that, yes, as I thought about it, I did hurt my friend. And what I realized is I only saw her hurting me, she letting me go. And her in her head, she's crazy nutcase, right? But she wasn't. She was my best friend, and I loved her very much, and I still do. But what I realized is 5 years ago, I was really hurt by her. My best friend, when my son's dad passed away, she was not there for me. And she didn't work. All she did was drive her daughter to school, pick her up, and did stuff. I don't know what she did all day. She was an hour away from me. And she didn't drop everything and come to my side, to my rescue. And so looking at that, you got to look deep inside yourself to figure out what trauma or what disappointment, what frustrations were you going through. So when I think about what I was going through, the frustration, um, being let down, being disappointed, I realized that she hurt me and I hurt her. So we both hurt each other. Doesn't make it right. I still don't even know what I did, but I did hurt her and I forgave her and I forgave myself for hurting her and for hurting myself because for some reason I hurt her on purpose without even knowing it. So then I had to think back. Now, I had stomach issues before I even had those stomach issues. And I always blamed the food. It wasn't the food. Where else did I hurt somebody? And this has happened before. I realized in high school, without even knowing it, I hurt a friend of mine. I hurt her feelings. I really disappointed her, and she turned around and did the same thing and hurt me. She intentionally did it. I accidentally did it. Doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right. But we do that. And sometimes out of our subconscious we do it on purpose without even knowing it. So then I had to go even deeper into my basically soul. And I knew it had to happen way before high school. So even before high school, I had to ask, where did this happen? And it still goes back to mom and dad, and it went back to my mother. My mother. I I felt like she let me down because she used to take me to daycare all the time, which is kind of funny because I felt really bad that I had to take my son to daycare and I had to have a nice talk with him. I couldn't work any more than I was because I'd drop him off at school at 11. So I couldn't talk to you guys at 11 like I used to because I'd have to drop him off at 11, at like 11:30, 11:45. Then I had to pick him up at 3, and those were my two main important times to book appointments, and I was losing a couple hours every day working. So I knew that was related to daycare with me as a child. As a child, my mom would take me to daycare, and I felt let down. I was disappointed. I was frustrated, thinking I did something wrong, but I didn't. As I explained to my child that I'm taking him to daycare so we can make more money, so we could do more fun things, he cried a little, but then he got over it and he said he was okay. He's like, I'm okay with this, mom. And I'm going to have fun at daycare anyways. He's such a trooper. But me, I was still holding on to this since I was a little girl. And that's where some of my stomach issues have started because I didn't feel important. I didn't feel loved. I was very frustrated, disappointed that I was getting let go. I was being dropped off because it was so important for my mother to go make money. It wasn't her fault, but I didn't know as a child. So, what I'm trying to tell you is a lot of our emotions are trapped. And if you can look into where your health issues, where you can identify where your health issues started, start with that. Think about what was going on at that moment. What was going on, the trauma, the frustration, and it could be in a relationship, maybe a marriage, it could be um, your job, it could be trying to start a business. I've tried to start like 6 businesses. I've wasted thousands of dollars. And the frustration that I went to every time I hit a wall, I just stop and give up after putting in and wasting a lot of money. That's got to do a lot of wear and tear on a body, right? On your body. Although I thought I was over it, I absorbed it. I just blew it off, but I absorbed it and it's taken place into my stomach where all those stomach issues are created. And it's not just the story that I just mentioned. There's more stories, and all the stories accumulate in my stomach. For some of you, it may be accumulated in your knees, it could be in your hips, in your back. But the more stories of disappointment and frustration that are created, there's a major root cause where it all began. And it'll absorb into the same place in where your injury is, where the illness is, and it keeps absorbing more and more and more stories into that one spot. Or it could be in many spots. So for some of you who are just coming on here, I'm discussing how to discover where your emotions started. And it started, you didn't get sick or you didn't get fatigued or have health issues out of nowhere. They've been accumulating over every daily, depending on what your emotions are. So you got to go back and look at what was going on before you got sick, before you had pain, before you're tired, and see where that goes. Um, I still have work to do on myself with the money. So I'll share a different story. And let me finish this one. So the next trick is to remove that emotion. So I went from my friend of 38 years and removed that emotion, let go of the frustrations, the disappointments, the the sadness, feeling unwanted, feeling unloved, feeling like she didn't care anymore. I didn't feel like I was important at all. I mean, how can somebody just leave you after 38 years? One argument. Never had an argument in the 38 years we were friends. And then to go back to high school to remember the same story, different person, removing that. So there's an exercise you do to remove all those emotions and to let go. And then discovering that the very first time you were disappointed, me, I was disappointed, felt let down, felt unimportant, unloved, was with my mom when she took me to daycare every day. And me and my mom weren't that close, and it wasn't her fault. Um, and it's what made me a good mom today to understand. And I don't hold anything against her. She was a single mom like I was, and it's not her fault. It's the way us children at the time perceived and looked at the situation and how we felt about ourselves. So I always talk to my child since he was a little boy and wanted to be a different type of mom, where I explain things and I make sure he can discuss his feelings. I know a lot of parents say get over it. Well, you can't get over it. Obviously, I'm 55 years old. I didn't get over it. And so this is why I discuss things with my child, because I want to make sure he doesn't go through all the frustrations, the pain, the fatigue, feeling like a loser growing up like I did. So here's another story, and this could all be tied in still with the same stories of feeling like a loser, because the stock market, I made all this money and I tried all these different businesses and I've wasted a lot of money. So I feel that I've wasted. Work hard for my money, and it gets wasted. I try and invest and try new things. So in the last 5 years, I've been removing money blocks, and money blocks come from, again, I felt my mom took me to daycare because money was more important to her than I was. So I'm going to have a problem with money. And I have. I never cared about money until I had a child. So money would come and go. And I could make money, but I used to just disperse it out. I'd lose it in the stock market, I'd give it away. Um, I let people borrow it thinking they're going to pay me back. They never do. So I did foolish things with my money, which I'm careful now. I'm actually investing in cryptocurrency, and I like to be a cryptocurrency buy and sell. Instead of just leaving it there and wait 10 years, I like to try and buy and sell it. But so if you're looking to have a better job to make more money or maybe do a side business and you don't have the energy to do it, you might have a block. You'd have to look why you don't have enough energy to be motivated to go back to school or to learn a new career. First of all, you may not feel good enough. And like me, I never felt good enough. And all these health issues are getting better because now I do feel good enough. As I removed the issues, the health issues, and the trauma, and feeling good enough, and removing disappointed, frustrated, not feeling good enough, as I remove those, I'm having more energy. My stomach is not as, so I probably, instead of looking 9 months pregnant, I only look 3 months pregnant. So I didn't blow up and become skinny like I keep thinking I'm going to, but I visualize that it's going to be skinny. The stomach will be flat, washboard. Somewhere I think there is a washboard stomach in there. There's just a bloated, balloon looking belly on the, over it. So look at your pain, Where did you first, when you first started this pain, what were you thinking? What were you doing? Were you feeling helpless? Were you feeling, and you can ask me questions. I'm here for you to ask me questions. But so I am now working out at the gym. I can now run again. It's not perfect, but I have to remember I haven't ran in a year. So I just run a couple blocks and I make sure to eat healthy. I stopped worrying about eating the things that I ate and started learning to enjoy foods that I'm not supposed to eat. Because that's another thing. So if you know me, I used to obsess about having a flat stomach and obsess about eating and not, and every time I ate a whole box of donuts, I'd be hard on myself and I'd tell myself, I'm going to be tired for the next 3 days. Well, I stopped doing that. I told my subconscious, I will give you the donut if you promise to give me the energy. Now I'm making deals with my body and I have amazing energy. My stomach, I can do sit ups now. I couldn't do sit ups without blowing up. And I looked like I was 6 months pregnant. So I'm feeling better. I'm having this amazing energy. I'm, I actually had, once I worked on the stomach and brought the bacteria back in and I started letting go of the emotions, I kind of did it together. As the doctor's working on bringing in the bacteria, taking an enzyme, I'm removing the trauma of my best friend. And there's a lot of stuff that has happened in 3 years, in the last 3 to 5 years. I mean, I lost my son's dad, I lost my best friend. So losing my best friend who should have been there with the loss of my son's dad. And that's like losing two good people in your life. And you're going to store energy, the energies and the emotions of going through that. So think of it. And if you have any questions, ask me. I'm on here every day. If I'm not on here, something's up with my head. I'm just in my head or I'm working. Now my son is in daycare. So you heard me talk about the daycare story. I had a hard time and I fought putting my son in daycare, but it was a choice to make money or to be with my son and raise him and try and work with him here. And I was losing my making money. So he's only in daycare 3 days a week. And I was in tears. I'm like, I felt like a bad mom. But it took me back to where my mom, maybe my mom felt bad. I'll have to ask her. But she worked 8 to 5. I mean, I think she was 22 years old. So I have already accumulated my career and worked it out to where I could have my son here and we were quarantined, have him here and I could work as long as he didn't knock on my door and he'd let me talk on the phone and not be disturbed. But then it got to the point where it wasn't working for me. He started knocking on my door and I felt really bad because it's not his fault. I just don't know why he didn't knock on the door for the first 5 years I've been doing this, or maybe 4 years. Um, so now that I've removed the emotions from my mom and thinking that money was more important to her, I've taken my son, put him in daycare, and I'm working. I can spend more time with you guys talking to you. And that was another thing. I had my son. I couldn't even talk on here to do these broadcasts. So now I'm on here and I could do the healings. I could start building this up. But all that is stress on the body. And you have to ask yourself, what am I stressed about? You got to go back and remove and let go of that stress. Does that make sense? So as I continuously do these broadcasts, you can start asking me questions. You can ask me questions anytime you want. But what you want to do is start asking yourself, and you want to journal. If you want to turn your life around, start journaling and writing and thinking in your head every day, what can I do to feel better? The universe is always listening. Write down notes, write down what your thoughts, what comes up. You want to ask the 3 questions. What can I do to heal? Hi, Vince. What can I do to heal and be healthy? What can I do to be healthy? What can I do to be happy? Yes, you always make sense, in my opinion. Thanks, Vince. What can I do to feel better? Now, remember, when you start changing yourself and how you look and feel about a situation, when you start realizing that maybe you could be at fault, that maybe you had a little bit to do with this, you're opening up emotions that are blocked. Now, Vince, I don't know when you came on, but I actually had to come to realization with some of the stories of my past and my friends that maybe I could have hurt them. And I realized that my best friend, I could have hurt her, but I don't know how. But I think I hurt her because she wasn't there when my son's dad died. And she didn't work. And so she didn't work and she didn't do anything all day. She could have been there where everybody else dropped everything and they didn't work either, but she was my best friend and she wasn't there for like a week after. And she was the only one I really, really needed to have there because she was my best friend. She was like my big sister. Um, but look at your life and write down, what can I do to feel better? The universe, your subconscious is always listening. If you're ready to feel better, that's the first step. What would it take to heal this pain? Write that down. What would it take to heal this pain? What would it take to change my life? And what's going to happen is either you hear it from me, other broadcasters, the news, people are coming on here every day and helping you how to change your life, giving you ideas. Whether it's changing the way you eat, changing the way you think, that's your first start. And if you start listening, I'm going to tell you, I'm still having issues with being. Do you have a best friend today? I have a lot of good friends. And for one reason or another, although we let each other, she let me go, I let her go. I had an intuitive healer that I was working on grab my hands and tell me that she didn't let me go. I basically was ready to let her go. Now, there's more to it than that. My life, as I was changing my vibration, becoming a better person, I started treating people. I didn't allow people to treat me bad anymore. And but it didn't mean I should hurt anybody. And so what I probably started doing is speaking my mind and telling her, you don't talk to me like this. You don't talk to my friends like this. You don't talk to your daughter like that. And as I started building up my confidence, I was probably, as a mother, she didn't like how I spoke to her about being a mother. I just didn't like her talking bad about her daughter. And it's hard to say what else. I mean, she took it as I'm telling her she's a bad mom. But if that's the way she wants to take it, I had to let her go. But anyway, so this intuitive said, you let her go. So I was just going in a different way, but it still hurt. And some of the things that I said to her in emails, I just could not be nice because I brought up certain things that I didn't like about her. And it doesn't matter what it was. Um, I didn't like the way she talked to her daughter, basically. And there's other things. I didn't like the way she talked about her mom. And it, I don't talk bad about people. I love her very much and I wanted her to change that, but I can only change myself. So sometimes now she may listen to this, and that's why I don't want to. I wouldn't say anything bad about her. She was a good person. I probably still said something bad about her. If she hears this, she'll take it the wrong way, and that's what I had a hard time. She'd hear it one way, but I'd be saying it another, and the way she's hearing it, the new way, is the way that hurts her. So You move on. But I didn't let go of the pain that I went through, right? And the understanding subconsciously, I had gone through this pain before. So what it did is it helped me, and I thank the universe for the learnings. Best friends should understand everything, and you should be able to say anything to a best friend, and they should be very extra understanding. I told her to stop talking mean to her about her mom. I didn't like it. So how do you say that nicely? I told her to stop talking bad about her daughter to my friends and me. To me, a child is perfect. They may have issues, but she made fun of her. Oh, let's put it this way: she made fun of her daughter, and the problem was she didn't like when her mom made fun of her. Now she's making fun of her daughter. So I didn't know how to work with that. I never talk bad about my son. I love him as everybody loves their parents and everybody loves their children. But sometimes there's little things in there that makes you do and say, children, like I guess when they have temper tantrums, but this was different. And I don't want to go into that. It was just I didn't know how to discuss it. But anyways, so I was hurt in how one argument led into all this. Out of 38 years, one argument, and she's drifted on. And basically, this intuitive told me that I'm the one that let her go. And so there's more to it, but I'm okay with it now. But that's where my stomach all was created, my stomach issues, my health issues. And when I look back and did this in high school, and I had to look back even further. So, what I'm trying to do is help you identify where something was going on when you became sick, fatigued, whenever the health issues came. And some topics can be sensitive, of course, I understand. And on email, I am not very good. I guess I think at the time I was still drinking, and you never email people or text when you've been drinking. You got to let it sit for 2 days. I actually wrote to her a year ago and I still have the email. I haven't sent it yet because their perception on how, I'll give you an example. I told her I was an intuitive healer and I'm coaching people now. What she wrote back is, I don't need your help and there's nothing wrong with me. And if anything, I would have wanted to coach her husband because he had health issues like I did with that fatigue. And that's not even what I was trying to say. I was just, usually she was always so proud of me when I would change careers because she always thought for someone that didn't go to school, she used to work for me, which is kind of cool. She was my supervisor. She would say, I'm proud of you. She did say that. And so I would have loved to have coached her husband, but I wasn't looking to coach her. I was just telling her what I'm doing now. So that's how we would talk. And she just took things the wrong way. Um, so when and if you have health issues, fatigue, you're not as energetic as you usually are, and you're used to drinking coffee, but coffee's not working. Well, I'm going to tell you, you've got to look into yourself and discover what's going on with you, and are you unhappy with your life? Because you can change it, but you can't change it if you don't do anything. You've got to believe that maybe there's some emotions that are trapped. And so I talk a lot about job. Let's talk about weight. So I've gained 30 pounds in 3 years. And those are on me are all trapped emotions. Did I have a fear of gaining weight? No, because I never expected it to happen. But for some people, they may have a fear of gaining weight. If you have a fear of gaining weight, you have to go back in and remove that fear. Alcohol can send emotional message to people. Yeah. And oh, so we can talk about weight, we could talk about addiction, alcoholism, drug addiction, shopping. A lot of those are emotions that's what makes us feel good. And that's why we do it. And you have to go back to, what do you feel when you go to drink, do drugs, go shopping, eat? Oh, I used to love just eating. I told one story about me and eating 6 glazed donuts. And for some reason, when I explain this story, my girlfriend always tells me that I eat too much sugar. I'm like, I don't eat too much sugar. She's like, you're always eating donuts. It was one story that I shared on Facebook 3 years ago that I ate these donuts. They're not supposed to taste that good when you buy them at Walmart. 2 days later, it took me 2 days to eat them because they were for my son. But I ate 6 of them. I just wanted to get them out of the way. But when you think about, and when you do this impulsive thing, or when you go out and party all night, what are you thinking when that's going on? It's going to make you feel good. What are you feeling before you do it? Are you feeling lonely? So I'm lonely. I already know I'm lonely. So I'm very intuitive and I can figure those things out. I can help you figure out what that feeling is. I'm not feeling good enough. I'm feeling not smart enough. And back then I knew what those issues were, and I still kind of have them. I still, sometimes they'll pop up like a spiral going round and round and round. It pops up every time, but it's, instead of every week now, it's every couple months. I think I'm going like every 4 months now. The same issues, but it's like I'm unraveling these emotions and peeling this peeling this onion. Um, but you know what? If I look at when I started healing, I don't do drugs anymore. I rarely drink. Sugar, I can go days without it. Alcohol opens up the emotion side of the person. Donuts on a hangover, or do they work? Wait, donuts on a hangover? No, I don't do donuts on a hangover. I just did donuts. Hangovers, I do Del Taco. Anyways, does that make sense? Break down what you're thinking. Now, sometimes we're not going to be sitting and thinking about our emotions right before we eat these donuts. But if you're trying to fight those donuts, fight that alcohol. You know you're going to drink a lot. Why are we drinking? Because sometimes we have anxiety, and you have to figure out what that anxiety is. You can't be around your friends without drinking, doing drugs. Maybe it's bad friends. You got to go back to where you first started feeling this way. So I've already taken those emotions and broken them down, and it was created back. No, I don't know what the no question is answering, or the no answer. Sometimes, so I've already gone back to my childhood and healed a lot of it in explaining to that child, you are good enough. And I will sit and talk to myself and tell her, the little girl inside me, my subconscious, you are good enough. Del Taco and a hangover. Okay, thanks for the top tip. I don't have hangovers, and but if I was, I loved Del Taco on a hangover. It's mostly the hot sauce that I put on the tacos and the green burrito. I love a lot of hot sauce. I think the spiciness does something after a long day of drinking. Okay, let me ask a question. Cindy, you put at Cindy 20. Okay, sometimes I just don't understand what some of this is, but that's actually your address. Okay, never mind. It's just it comes up at Cindy 2024. I haven't seen that before. So, does anybody have any questions? Do you have something you want to change? Let's say back to the journaling. You journal, ask these questions, tell yourself, I'm ready to change my life. And then start asking, what can I do? Write it down and you ask the universe, what can I do to change my life? What can I do to feel better? I do this every day. I've been doing this since I started with Louise Hayes 5 years ago. The spicy hot to metabolize the alcohol. Could be. Definitely don't want to drink chocolate shakes or milk. Me and my roommate were just talking about explaining to our children, when you drink milk on a hangover, not my child, but hers. She has a 12-year-old, and how it curls up and turns into cottage cheese. Hello from Tulsa. I'm having one of those weird days. Oh, wait a minute. I have weird days every day. Hi. Thanks for being here. All right. So every day you ask yourself this when you wake up, what can I do? And when you go to bed, this is what I say when I go to bed. What can I do to have energy tomorrow? So I meditate in the morning and I do my mantras and affirmations. If you've been on here, you know, and you're with me. And then I do one in the evening of letting go of all the emotions that I've created throughout the day because there's so many thoughts that we have 6,000 thoughts a day. And a lot of those I'm still working on myself. How many of those thoughts are happy thoughts? How many of those are you lost money in the stock market? You're upset with yourself. You're pissed. You're just irritated. You're like, oh my god, I've done this again. I've done this 20 years ago. I'm still doing this. May not even be the stock market. Maybe you have another job and you thought this job was going to be better. Maybe you're in a new relationship and you thought this was going to be different. Nothing's going to change until you start changing yourself. So, back, I told you back in January, I see the little girl inside you, Julie. You're very bubbly in many ways. And you know what? I wasn't a bubbly child. I don't even know if I laughed as a child. And my mom was and sometimes parents are strict, or they didn't laugh as when they were children. And, my mom tries laughs today, and I could never laugh like her. So now I laugh. Now I have a child, and I laugh with him, and I make him laugh. He just thinks I'm weird. He's like, I love my weird mom. It's so cute. But I wasn't always like that because, as a child, you're not supposed to talk. You're not supposed to make noise. I talk very loud when I'm with my mom. My mom says all the time, why are you talking so loud? But this is just in the last 10 years, I think, because I have a child and he brings out the child in me. I don't think I was ever a child when I was a child. I had my own business at 19. I was very professional. I made a lot of money. I'm working on getting that back. I don't know what happened. I'm very disappointed at times when I'm like, why did I make so much money then? I have nothing to show for it. I still have work to do on myself. So a lot of people, a lot of people are still trying to find themselves, and they're my age. I'm still looking to find myself, not really find myself, but be a better person. Do you want to be a better person? Change yourself. It's not too late. Right. What can I do to change myself and feel better? What can I do to change my attitude? For some of you who knew that I had a client come in, and I was not going to be able to make her happy. She wanted to know why she was so angry, but she didn't want to change her attitude. She was so angry with life and what life has given her, and she didn't know what was causing it. But she wouldn't let me finish talking to her, and she just left. I mean, there's more to it, but she was breathing so heavy that she was getting even angrier because I wasn't touching her, and she didn't want to do the kind of work that I taught. I did Reiki, but Reiki doesn't touch the person. Reiki is energy work. And although I was working with her, she was going to fight me. And then until she was ready to let go of the angry person, there's nothing I could do with her. And I think about her still. I think about doing my healing. I have a webinar that's coming up, and I want to send it to certain people that are ready to change their life, because there's a lot of self work you have to do. Nobody's going to make that change for you. If you want a healthier relationship, you want to change the relationship you're in, you need to start with yourself. So, for some of you who are new on here, I talk about what can I do to be healthy, happy, and successful 24/7. And I'm pretty happy, even though I get frustrated and I get sad and I cry. I'm still happy. But the universe has given that opportunity for me. But I had to let go of all my traumas, everything that made me feel helpless. I had to bring up all those stories, touching therapy is very effective. So I don't know what touching therapy is, but let me finish this thought. So I have to bring up all these energies and emotions from my past have come to me, and I've had to let them go. I've held on to them. And that's what was blocking my happiness, my excitement, my health, and my success. I don't know what touch therapy is. I do a massage where I help the physical part, and I also do Reiki healing, which I don't touch. It's energy work where I help with the emotional, um, uh, unblocking the chakras, but I can also go deeper into the root cause and remove energies that are blocking you from moving forward. So a lot of this, you need coaching for that. That woman that I worked on, I was not going to help her because she didn't believe in the type of work that I did, and she didn't know enough about Reiki, although she had it before. She was just too unhappy with herself. And the only person that can help with that is you. You're the only one that can help heal that unhappiness. Have you done touch therapy, Vince? So if you're ready to make changes, start asking, what can I do to make changes? This is removing trauma from your past, starting to love and care deeply for yourself. And it's a lot of work. I mean, mind you, I've been working on it for 5 years, almost daily, and reprogramming yourself. So I didn't even have to reprogram myself. Oh, that's a lie. I probably did. I had to let go of a lot of judgment. So and I'll tell you a funny story. My son, bless his heart, when he was 4 years old, he had his windows rolled down and a car was driving by. And he's the one that made me look at people different in a happy, exciting way. To a child, now, had he been with somebody else, had a different mom because I've heard moms tell their kids, don't look at those losers, don't, don't look at that dirty child, they're probably broke, or, I've seen parents do some harsh things, teaching their children not to be nice to others for one reason or another. How they look at things, how they perceive things. And my child was looking at a car that was all beat up. And this little boy, who's probably just 21, um, oh, is that what touch therapy is? It's just massage and reflexology. Okay, I already do that. I wasn't sure if it was something else. It makes sense. I didn't catch on quick enough. So my son was yelling at the guy, going, I like your car. I love your car. It's totally cool. And it just made the guy's day. He was probably 18, 21, somewhere around there. His car was a couple different colors of black and gray and a couple dents. But it made my son happy and it made that boy happy. And that's the way my son looks at things. Um, a lot of people say that I taught him to do that, but I did have some judgmental ways of thinking, but not towards him or not when he was in front of me. So I'll give you another example. For Mother's Day, we're talking about a yes day. And he's all for it. He wants to start on Friday doing the yes day for me for Mother's Day. That's his gift to me. And if you ever saw that movie, it's really cute with kids get a yes day, but this is for me. And he said to his friend, you should do that for your mom. He's like, no way. I should be getting the yes day. So, it could be the upbringing. I'm not sure. I'll take the credit though. But I've seen where the parents have really, said that the coronavirus is stupid, wearing a mask is stupid, and I see the kids saying it's stupid, and the president is stupid, and it's like, okay, what are you teaching your kids? Those kids are mother is the best friend for her child. But teaching your children that the president is stupid and sucks is so I'm very supportive no matter who the president is. I don't talk bad about them because we obviously kind of voted on them. Some of us did. And So my son, I teach him to love and respect, your elderly, people that are nice. Don't, you should respect people that are mean, but I've taught him that people that are mean are just not happy with themselves. And if somebody yells at him, that they're not happy, because you should never yell at anybody. It doesn't matter. He doesn't, even if he's, yeah, does something wrong, he may not know. He's pretty, pretty good child. He doesn't do things that are wrong in the point of where he should be yelled at. Um, so do I yell? Absolutely. And he doesn't deserve it. So he kind of freezes and hides, because if I yell, everybody goes hiding. And then I go back and apologize. I go, Mommy's just being a little nutty because she's had a hard day. I don't do it very often. Um, but again, I'm working on changing myself. So my mom used to yell out a lot. So when I yell, I'm like, is this me or is this my mom? So a lot of us become sometimes our parents. It's normal. All right, back to healing. Who's ready to heal? Who's ready to make those changes? Anybody? Best teacher is a mother to your child. Yes. Okay. So let's talk about this. Everything we've learned from our parents. Some of those teachers are liars, and not liars in a bad way. Sometimes parents teach us to protect us. Kind of like I told you my story. I was being taught to, well, I wasn't being taught, but going to daycare. If us children didn't understand what we were going through, what parents are going through, we might perceive it different in our head. And as we grow up, we still hold on to those learnings, those teachings from our parents. But sometimes, parents will say candy is bad for you. It'll give you cavities. Well, that could be true, but I would just say I don't make and say that candy is going to cause cavities. I just say that candy should be eaten only on weekends. And I don't give examples, because when you start saying candy is bad for you, I hear it all the time from moms. Candy is bad for you, can't eat it. But their kids have a lot of cavities. A lot of kids at like 4 or 5 years old have four cavities. And it's not their fault, because I see these parents giving the candy to them, but they're also saying candy's bad for you at the same time. So you see where that mixes up and messes with the child? Okay, they're still giving me the candy, but it's bad for me. So I think that's where the cavities are created. So my son has never had cavities, and he's going to be 8. He still eats candy. I never ate candy as a child. I don't have any cavities. Um, I even went to a dentist, and a dentist told me I had 8 cavities. And I never went back to that dentist, because at 35, I never had cavities. And I only go to a dentist like every 15 years. So I did go to a dentist 3 years after the dentist told me I had 8 cavities. I went to a different dentist, and they told me I had no cavities. So now I gargle with salt because I have receding gums. So I have to figure out where those receding gums coming from. Is that from people telling me that candy's bad for me, as a child? So my gums will start receding or something. I don't know. I look at everything as an emotional, um, something emotional is being hung on to. So something going on with my teeth. I had braces. Um, I have a fear of cavities, fear of dentists. So that could create gums deteriorating. Who knows? I'll be working on that today. But I have been using tea tree oil and putting it on my gums, and I've still never had any cavities. I don't have bleeding gums. I don't even have tartar on my teeth, which is strange. So I've only gone to a dentist one time where they cleaned my teeth, and I got really sick. Where they clean them and they chisel off the tartar, what little tartar I had, and I got really sick. That's probably why I don't go. Candy treats, oh yes, one good way to control children and rewarding them. So I let my son have candy on the weekends, and he gets to play Minecraft um, on the weekends, unless there's something going on where I feel that he gets 100% on his tests. Um, there's a function, but I don't let him have candy every single day. And he's actually learned to like chocolate. So I say chocolate is okay because it has milk and it doesn't eat your teeth as much as regular candy. I actually knew that from childhood because that's all I ate was chocolate. And then doctors said to my son that chocolate's better than candy. Candy just kind of sticks to your teeth. I always think that you should eat food after your candy to get that candy off of there or brush your teeth. So a lot of those memories of what was taught from us from parents could be lies, but we still believe it as an adult. And we kind of forgot what those lies were. They could have been just something to protect us. Does that make sense? So try this exercise. I'm going to get ready to go eat lunch and let me know what your thoughts are. So write down, and you can start healing your body by asking, what do I need to do to heal? What can I do to heal? What can I do to feel better? What can I do to change? And I say this 100 times a day. What can I do to have more energy? It depends on what you're looking for. I'm looking to change to make more money come in. I am looking, so I have to remove the money blocks. I'm looking to change the way I feel. So I'm removing the emotions that have blocked me and letting go of judgment. So I don't judge anymore. I might judge a little bit. I don't like that the homeless people are sleeping on the sidewalks, but I'm judging them. What kind of candy? Snickers? Um, uh, Gosh, it's hard to say because I'm not doing sugar starting today. Let me think. I could say yesterday I stopped eating sugar because now I'm working on that. I want to get that washboard stomach quicker. Now that I've taken away the emotion of my friend flattening out the stomach of that pregnant looking stomach. Before I used to eat Twizzler, it's sweet tart vines, sweet tart vines. They have like that white candy thing in there. Sweet tart vines. Have you ever had them? Oh, so chocolate. Chocolate. God, I used to eat a chocolate bar every day at 3 o'clock, and until I had a baby, and I stopped eating candy or ice cream or cake at 3 o'clock every day when I had him. So I took one happiness and got this really great happiness. So sometimes if you want that happiness, you've got to ask, what would it be and what would it take to get that happiness? Back to that. Snickers used to be the candy. I like anything like dark chocolate with almonds. I've actually gotten away from the candy. So it's hard to say. I do like those little round lints. They're like truffles. I like chocolate truffles. I don't really eat the chocolates from the shelf chocolate. I like more of the Swiss chocolate. Oh, See's candy chocolates. I do like those. Milky Way is my favorite. I used to love Milky Way, but since I've had more expensive chocolates, I don't eat the cheap chocolate. The cheap chocolate makes my nose run. That's what I think. I'm not really sure. So one of the exercises I'm supposed to be doing is stop using food as an excuse of why I have my nose running. But for so many years, I said that Milky Way and Snickers causes my nose to run that I actually made it happen. So you can do this. You can create it. That's why I had to take away the emotions that I have created that accused food of being some of my health issues. A lot of times when you have something going on, an allergy, you can create an excuse of why it's happening. I'll give you an example. Say you had a bad day. You're having a bad day at work, and you go and you eat like a big hamburger and French fries. You just had a horrible day, and the day of your boss, yelled at you. He didn't like something that, maybe you didn't finish or did do something on your paperwork. I don't work for anybody. I work for myself. So I'm trying to think. Maybe you made a mistake. Okay, you made a mistake at work. Your boss yelled at you. He's a jerk off. You eat a hamburger to feel better, or you go out for that hot fudge sundae, and the next day you just feel drained and tired. It used to be that I blamed the hamburger or the hot fudge sundae or whatever I ate. I would blame the food. Ah, it was the bread from the hamburger. But it was actually the emotion of your boss and the trauma and how you felt. He belittled you in front of everybody at work. He made you feel bad. Instead of telling you how to do a better job, he told you what a bad job you did. And it's going to do some wear and tear on you. So, but you're thinking it's this hamburger. So the next time you eat the hamburger, the hot fudge sundae, or whatever junk food you're eating. Oh, and mind you, that next day you had stomach issues. You felt your body hurt. You're having irritable bowel syndrome. You're thinking it's the food. So the next time you have that irritable bowel syndrome, or and you have that hamburger, the day before, you start using that hamburger as the reason why you have all these stomach issues because you already created an emotion with the hamburger. So now that hamburger thinks it's supposed to do its job and make you feel bad, have stomach issues. It was never the hamburger, it was the emotion that at work that person made you feel bad. Snickers 47@gmail.com. I don't know what is my unique chocolate email. Isn't that cute? It is cute. So Snickers, can't see with that light in my face. Snickers 447. What's the 447 mean? Is that your age? Unique chocolate email. Isn't that cute? Because it's one of my favorites. I kind of want a Snickers now. Now I need something to replace that Snickers in my mind. Oh, I'm going to have a bowl of soup. Healthy soup, so I feel really good tomorrow. Although I could eat a Snickers, but I am trying to do sugar free to see if I could lose 20 pounds, 25 pounds, see if I could go. I think if I remove all the trauma and the baggage that I have on my body, of all those emotions that have been created and stored in my body, I will lose this weight. I do feel a lot lighter. So if there's no questions, I'm going to go eat a bowl of soup. I'm still going to be thinking of that Snickers though. It's okay. I could probably distract it with a couple chips. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your support. Please make comments when I'm on here. If there's anything that's on here that's helped you, I'd like to hear it. I need some more interaction. Vince, you're doing a great job. So what you want to write, and if you want to feel better, I'm going to end it with this. Ask, what can I do to feel better? The universe will always help and answer. What can I do to have more motivation? What can I do to change my life? And ask that 100 times a day. And then say, it's okay for my life to change for better. It's okay to be healthy. It's okay to have fun. And it's okay to be successful all at the same time. 44/7 are few memorable numbers. 44, good year, and 7th day. I like 44. Let's see, mine was actually 46. And that's when I had my first baby, my only baby. And best day ever. 40 was the first time my mom made me my chocolate chip cookies. My first batch of chocolate chip cookies from mom. Chocolate chip cookies. That was my best birthday. So I'd say 44 and 46. But you know what? I don't use that in any combination of my passwords because I've got other numbers that are good. All right, you guys. So what can I do? And visualize that healing light around your body of energy and change and healing, loving light. What will it take for me to change for better? What would it take for me to heal? What would it take for me to be happy? And what would it take for me to be healthy, happy, and successful at the same time? I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Have a great day. Any questions?